Okay, so I was sick over the weekend, and now I'm rebuilding my muscles and my brain. I was reduced down to just my chi, and I've just been running on chi. Luckily, I haven't lost a drop of it. Um, I'm re-examining some fixed ideas I've had and modes of presentation. Um, I feel like a lot of the time, since I'm so alienated, what I want to do, my little, since I'm so alienated and so integrated with my shadow side, when I get on here, my shadow side takes over, and um, I typically start off by invoking Scary Carrie in the mirror. Um, and so I'll present to you the image of Scary Carrie from the dark side of the other side of the mirror, and bloody everything's a blood world made out of pulsating blood and organs, and cut off a dog's face, and that, since I'm so alienated, my response to you is to alienate you, which alienates me further. And just re examining this as a strategy for growth. Um, I think, and I also got a little feedback. It was probably 6 years later, but somebody said, "Hey, remember that? Remember something you said in your video 6 years ago?" So, what one person was able to relate, um, and and I'm in this mood of I want to just share things a little more sincerely and a little more of the tough topics that I actually think about and are actually relevant to what's on people's minds. And so, to start that off, I want to talk about how I went back to Richard Stallman's blog. Richard Stallman, the free software advocate, I went on his blog and a couple things stood out to me. First was one post. His comment was, call your senators and tell them not to confirm anti vaxxer RFK. And I just found that it odd that Richard Stallman would be on that side, because the pro vax narrative, you know who stands to gain from that? You know which individual stands to gain monetarily? 20 to 1 ratio, better than selling computer chips, computer software, is the fellow who invested in vaccine technology, mRNA. His name is Bill Gates, and he paid off a lot of media to control the narrative surrounding vaccines so that he would make a lot of money. So criticizing RFK as an anti vaxxer, you're the free software GNU Linux guy. You are the competitor in the marketplace against Bill Gates. So why are you affirming his narrative? That aside, I don't really have any this or that for or against RFK. Um, I do imagine that it's very likely that in a couple years or so, if he is confirmed, we'll hear something like that along the lines of this. Um, we tried everything we could to get the poison out of the food cereals, but what ended up happening was that we cut the food stamps. Sorry, we cut the food stamps. We cut the food stamps program so that there's just no more welfare. Right? So it's probably they're going to cut welfare uh, because the super rich oligarchs are blatantly in control of the government using their money, which was printed by the government and handed to them, and then they hand it back to the politicians who are supposed to regulate the industries that they benefit from corrupting. I would suggest to pass a new amendment to to the Bill of Rights, to the Constitution of the United States, which is similar to separation of church and state. Um, it might be beneficial to throw one in there that says separation of corporation and state so that no multinational beholden to no governing body, non elected, non democratic, hierarchical corporations who are not beholden to US law give money and lobby for legislation to get passed in their favor, which destroys worker rights and the rights and undermines the privacy and freedom of the nation's citizens. Let's throw one of those in there. Can I can I edit this thing? Constitution.exe. Um, the other thing that stood out to me about Richard Stallman's blog was that he posted that he was trying to help somebody fund fundraise or something, and then or he was going to volunteer, and he was going to, and then they had him try to use non-free software, and I had to explain to them that this uses JavaScript, and this part of the JavaScript is non-free, and my browser Ice Loser doesn't, it blocks non-free JavaScript from even running. Dude, shut the fuck up. No, the other thing was that he he mentioned that his friend tried to give him a chocolate bar that had magic mushrooms in it, and he said, "No, thank you. I I've never tried psychedelics because I'm afraid of having a bad trip." Dude, this came as a shock to me. Um, because how old is this guy? And wasn't he a part of MIT? Isn't, hold on, isn't this guy a computer programmer? And he's never taken psychedelics. That, okay. That explains a lot. That explains the uh, mocking of religion and the unquestioning atheism. It explains his lack of self awareness. And it explains why there's not a GNU herd kernel. And if this guy took, I'm seeing this in other domains as well. You, look, you can be a godlike programmer and create amazing things without being introspective on your own nervous system using a chemical agent to activate the neuroelectric currents in your spinal cord to break down the previous associations that you've had. But all I'm going to say is that you will become such an exponentially greater programmer, because what you will program after you discover your own nervous system, your brain turning back on itself like a Mobius strip, that will help you understand programming. You will take off in such varied directions. It's incalculable. You'll be Dr. Timothy Leary, who's a PhD, um, said that he discovered more in his first 10 minutes of coming on his first acid trip about how his own mind works than for teaching as a Ivy League doctor in psychology for, I want to say, over 30 years. I believe the quote is 50 years. You will learn more about how computers works and your mind works, and the people who dismiss it because they're afraid, so go through the bad trip if you're going to have one. The good outweighs the bad, and you're in control. Your brain is in control of what you experience. You can get the same thing from very deep meditation practice over a long period of time. And that just made me question, why have I been so fanatical about this guy's word, like it's the last word on software? And I'm getting these new ideas about software licensing as I'm getting closer to publishing my own software. And I'm thinking that a couple things have got to change. I'll just say that my most immediate critique, the free software license, GNU GPL, is that people tend to want to see everyone's source code like this is elementary school and you've got to show your work. And if it's not out there, then you're somehow at a loss, and everything has to be free and open and read, like we all have a FCC label on us and it says everything that you think you have to say out loud. It's just that's a more general cultural thing surrounding it, but the free software license thing is that what if I create some remarkable piece of software and I put it up and it gets stolen by some company, corporation, and they close the source and I get nothing? The AGPL also tries to put a step to prevent this, but what about me, though, since that only covers people who can hire a lawyer? I don't think enough people really grapple with this in the software freedom discussion. What if they shut off your bank account and throw you in jail? He made a decentralized program. He put encryption on it. Throw him in jail. Terrorist. Cyber terrorist. Um, that's what's likely to happen, and the since the legislation branch, the law courts, um, are corrupt, um, I don't think some license that nobody's gonna respect is gonna help me. That's just my personal feelings. Um, just the main thing is that I can't afford a lawyer, so I can't. So it doesn't help me. That's what I think. Let me know what you think down in the comments section, and be sure to cut off a dog's face and feed it to another dog, and skin a cat alive and listen to dead things, and and grow a fungus, and stop being a human, and when you die, the radiation will cause the maggots to evolve, and you'll be the maggots, and then you'll go into the fungus, and the fungus will be like a like it'll be piloting a robot, and 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 you don't have to be afraid, because the robot, it uses